Did you know? If seafood were to disappear from the earth, humans would need to raise an additional 400 million cows, just to replace around 15% of the protein currently supplied by the oceans. Crab sticks on sushi, canned tuna in your kitchen cabinet, frozen shrimp buried in the freezer, or a slice of smoked salmon every morning. None of these are as natural as we tend to believe. Behind them lies a massive industrial machine, where seafood is processed, reshaped, frozen, and preserved using modern technology, ensuring consistent quality and extended shelf life for billions of meals every single day. Today, join Agriculture Insight as we break down the entire process behind these products and explore why seafood is so beneficial for heart and brain health, yet significantly more affordable than red meat. Prominently featured in California rolls, imitation crab sticks are often the gateway that introduces many Americans to sushi. Yet few people realize that this is one of the greatest culinary illusions of all time, because crab sticks contain no crab at all. This remarkable sleight of hand begins with vast schools of Alaska pollock roaming the open waters of the North Pacific. When the Bering Sea enters the peak of winter, with surface temperatures hovering near 0 degrees Celsius and drifting ice covering much of the ocean, pollock simultaneously enter their spawning season, creating a once-a-year golden window for the global $9 billion per year surimi industry. During this period, the fish abandon their scattered distribution and aggregate into unusually dense schools, producing the only time of year when yield, size, and muscle structure reach an ideal level of uniformity. In these frigid waters, Alaska pollock and threadfin bream form massive schools in the midwater and near-bottom zones, at depths exceeding 300 meters, where sunlight nearly disappears and water temperatures remain stable. These conditions produce firm, lean muscle tissue, making the fish exceptionally well-suited for surimi processing. Today, fishing no longer relies on instinct or guesswork. Multi-layer sonar and advanced acoustic detection systems continuously scan the water column, pinpointing the exact location, density, and movement of fish schools in real time. Once signals indicate that harvesting thresholds are met, midwater trawl nets are deployed. Massive nets with openings spanning hundreds of meters, suspended within the water column to capture entire schools while minimizing contact with the seabed. The moment the fish are hauled onto the deck, time is measured in minutes. They are quickly rinsed with clean seawater and transferred directly into chilled storage holds at temperatures close to 0 degrees Celsius. This is a critical step that slows protein degradation, limits oxidation, and suppresses microbial activity, factors that can ruin the raw material within just a few hours if processing is delayed. Once the vessels return to port, the fish are transported straight to processing plants in insulated containers. There, they are washed in stainless steel tanks using cold water below 5 degrees Celsius, removing slime, sediment, and impurities. The entire process is tightly controlled to prevent cross-contamination and to preserve the highest possible purity of the surimi raw material. Once transported to the factory, the fish enter a fully enclosed processing line. The heads, tails, viscera, and skin are removed, leaving only the protein-rich white fillets. Although most of the process is automated, the fillets still undergo manual deboning. Workers inspect each piece under backlit panels, meticulously removing fine bones and foreign matter, a step that determines both the smooth texture and safety of the final product. Next, the fish meat is fed into a continuous washing and grinding system. Blood, oils, and odor-causing compounds are completely removed, leaving behind only pure muscle proteins. This process creates surimi, a smooth, white protein mass that is nearly odorless and flavorless, forming the structural foundation for shaping imitation crab sticks. In the final stage, the surimi is blended with approximately 2 to 3% salt to stabilize its protein structure, then packaged and rapidly frozen at the 30 degrees Celsius. Rapid freezing locks in the muscle structure, prevents moisture loss, and maintains consistent quality before the surimi is transferred to imitation crab shaping and finishing plants. A small portion of the surimi is tinted reddish-orange using chili powder and red yeast rice, then pulled into fine strands. The ratio is precisely standardized, about 3 to 5 kilograms of red fibers for every 100 kilograms of white surimi, just enough to mimic the fibrous texture of crab leg meat without overpowering the main protein body. Next, the mixture is pressed into thin sheets, layered with the red fibers on the outside, rolled into cylindrical logs, tightly compressed to form muscle-like striations, and cut into segments measuring 7 to 10 centimeters in length. This stage alone enables the global food industry to produce over 2.5 million tons of imitation crab sticks every year. At the final step, the crab sticks are wrapped in form-fitting film to maintain their structure during steaming and freezing, then vacuum sealed, tray-packed, labeled, and assigned traceability codes. From this point on, more than 70% of imitation crab production does not reach consumers as a peel-and-eat product. Instead, it becomes an intermediate ingredient for a vast range of ready-to-eat foods. In Japan, the birthplace of modern imitation crab, most of the output is rolled into sushi, mixed into seafood salads, packed into bento boxes, and incorporated into convenience meals. There, imitation crab does not exist to replace real crab, but to serve a fast-paced, standardized, and precision-driven eating culture, one that perfectly reflects the logic of modern Japanese industrial cuisine. Did you know that canned tuna is the most consumed seafood in the United States, surpassing both salmon and shrimp, with annual consumption reaching nearly 1 million tons? Less glamorous on the dinner table, canned tuna is nonetheless a silent protein backbone, supported by a vast industrial fishing and processing system that stretches across the world's oceans. From May through September, a single tuna fishing vessel can land up to 2,000 tons of fish in just one voyage lasting several weeks. Fishing activities are concentrated in major grounds across the Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans, where tuna migrate along ocean currents to stay close to energy-rich prey such as small fish, squid, and crustaceans. Among harvesting methods, purse seining plays a dominant role in supplying skipjack tuna for the canning industry. Once a school is detected, via sonar, seabird activity, or positioning data, the vessel deploys a net that encircles the fish and then cinches the bottom closed, capturing the entire school within a short time. Many modern fleets also deploy reconnaissance helicopters, extending visual coverage across ocean areas spanning thousands of square kilometers. The moment tuna leave the sea, they undergo initial processing and are immediately chilled to preserve muscle structure and slow enzymatic activity. From this point on, speed becomes critical. The fish must reach processing plants as quickly as possible, because once quality begins to decline, no downstream process can restore it. At the factory, tuna is processed while still frozen, without thawing. Industrial cutting machines operate at 20 to 40 degrees Celsius, allowing precise cuts without damaging muscle tissue. Frozen cutting helps preserve muscle fibers, reduce moisture loss and discoloration, and lower microbial contamination risk by up to 80%. After cleaning, the fish is transferred to large industrial steam cookers. These systems are precisely temperature controlled to handle tons of fish per batch. Steaming is not intended to simply cook the fish, but to soften connective tissue, making the meat easier to separate from the bones in the next stage while retaining moisture and natural flavor. After steaming, the tuna enters the meat separation stage, the clearest moment of transformation from a whole fish into the canned tuna consumers recognize. At this point, heat has softened the connective tissue without breaking down the muscle fibers, creating ideal conditions for separating the meat from bones and skin without damaging its structure. The fish is transferred to a manual picking area where workers use bare hands or thin gloves to feel each muscle strand directly. Large bones, pin bones, skin, and any meat that fails to meet standards for color or firmness are removed, leaving only clean, uniform meat, the foundation of high-quality canned tuna. This is also the most labor-intensive stage of the entire process, as precision depends heavily on touch and experience. Once the tuna meat has been precisely portioned into each can, the product enters the final preservation stage. At this point, every can is filled with a liquid tailored to its product line: brine to preserve the natural flavor, vegetable oil to enhance softness and richness, or proprietary sauces that define brand identity. The cans then move immediately into an automated sealing system, where metal lids are placed and crimped shut under precisely controlled pressure. The moment the lid is sealed is also the moment the tuna becomes completely isolated from the outside environment. Air is removed, microorganisms are locked out, a condition that allows canned tuna to last for months, even years, while maintaining stable texture and flavor as if freshly processed. Finally, the sealed cans are transferred to high-pressure steam sterilization systems, where they are treated at 121 degrees Celsius for 60 to 90 minutes to eliminate bacteria, mold, and spoilage enzymes. After sterilization, the cans are rapidly cooled, inspected to FDA standards, labeled, and distributed through retail channels. Few people realize that beyond the domestic market, US-branded canned tuna is exported to more than 50 countries worldwide, from the Middle East and Latin America to overseas military bases and emergency food reserves. In these contexts, canned tuna becomes a cornerstone of food logistics, stable, safe, and capable of sustaining human life during crisis. Before becoming smoked salmon on supermarket shelves, salmon are harvested under tightly controlled conditions at sea, where meat quality is largely determined in advance. In the North Atlantic and North Pacific, salmon are caught when water temperatures are around 5 to 8 degrees Celsius, allowing the subcutaneous fat to remain semi-solid and evenly distributed along the muscle fibers. This creates the salmon's smooth richness and slow-melting texture after smoking. If harvested in warmer waters, the fat oxidizes rapidly, resulting in a less clean smoke flavor. In large-scale fisheries, gill nets are preferred over bottom trawls. Each vessel typically lands around 40 tons per trip, but this trade-off significantly reduces biological stress. When fish struggle intensely or experience prolonged oxygen deprivation, lactic acid builds up quickly, causing the flesh to soften, release moisture, and lose elasticity within about 3 hours, even if the fish has already been chilled. Whether sourced from wild capture or offshore aquaculture, salmon ultimately converge at processing plants within 48 hours of leaving the water, a critical window for preserving fat structure and the natural elasticity of the muscle fibers. After the head is removed, the body is fed into industrial filleting machines that split the fish lengthwise along the backbone. The blades are precisely aligned to run parallel to the primary muscle fibers, producing 2 fillets of nearly uniform thickness. A standard filleting line can process 1 to 2 tons of fish per hour, forming a crucial foundation that determines the consistency of the finished product. Next, the fillets undergo removal of the backbone and major rib bones using knives. Despite mechanical assistance, This step still requires manual precision to address each bone junction accurately. If the main bones are not cleanly removed, the fillet surface becomes uneven, causing uneven distribution of salt and smoke during curing. Immediately afterward, the fillets pass through a recirculating cold water washing system. The goal is not aggressive cleaning, but to remove residual blood, slime, and bone fragments. Water temperature is kept low to avoid activating protein-degrading enzymes. Premium fillets, uniform orange in color, with clearly defined fat lines and no bruising, are cured with dry salt or a salt-sugar blend at about 2 to 3% of the fish's weight, then laid on ventilated racks for 24 hours to lock in the flesh structure. During this time, salt draws water out of the muscle tissue, causing proteins to contract and bind more tightly. The surface becomes firm yet elastic, allowing the fish to hold its shape, absorb smoke evenly, and minimize moisture loss during smoking. The fillets are then transferred to the smoking chamber, either laid flat on racks or hung to allow smoke to circulate evenly around the fish and keep fat distribution stable along the muscle fibers. Smoke is generated from oak wood under controlled combustion to avoid flare-ups, while chamber temperatures are adjusted by product type, low for cold smoked salmon, higher for hot smoked. Throughout this process, aromatic compounds in the smoke dissolve into the surface fats and proteins, becoming an integral part of the flavor structure rather than a superficial coating. Finally, the finished smoked salmon is rapidly chilled to stabilize the fat structure, then packed as whole fillets under vacuum or in a modified atmosphere. This packaging prevents oxygen from contacting the surface, preserving the salmon's natural orange color, clean smoke aroma, and smooth, buttery texture throughout transport and display in supermarket cases. From cold seas to vacuum-sealed packs on store shelves, the quality of smoked salmon is shaped by precise control at every stage, where technology serves only to support a deep respect for the fish's natural structure. If China is the world's pork production engine, then the United States is the king of consumption, a place where bacon, ham, and pepperoni never go out of style. Despite warnings about colorectal cancer risks, estimates show that by 2025, Americans consumed around 6.2 million tons of processed pork. On average, each person eats nearly 19 kilograms per year, an enormous amount, enough to practically fill the Grand Canyon if stacked continuously for 12 straight months. This irresistible appeal isn't accidental. Compared to beef, pork contains up to 1.5 times more fat and moisture, creating the signature tenderness, juiciness, and rich flavor found in ham, bacon, and sausages. To understand this fascination, we'll follow the journey of pork farming and processing, a complex chain stretching from the farm all the way to modern industrial production lines. The journey begins at Berkshire Pig Farms, a black pig breed renowned for its ability to produce intramuscular marbling, making it a strategic choice. These pigs are raised free-range on expansive pastures spanning hundreds of hectares, moving between designated grazing plots. During each grazing session, the herd forages while rooting the soil, returning organic manure, improving soil structure, activating microbial systems, and enhancing the pasture's moisture retention. The Berkshire diet combines native grasses, protein-rich legumes, grains, and agricultural byproducts, promoting muscle growth while preserving their ability to develop marbling. Thanks to ample exercise and slow natural growth, their fat penetrates deep into the meat rather than accumulating under the skin, resulting in tender, juicy, and flavorful pork, the very reason this breed is prized in the premium meat segment. Leaving the farm, the pigs enter the transportation system, a crucial link that determines both meat quality and the stability of this billion-dollar supply chain. To reduce stress and prevent injuries, specialized vehicles are equipped with non-slip sloped floors, straw bedding that absorbs shocks, and continuously circulating airflow. Temperature, humidity, and toxic gas sensors operate 24/7, ensuring that each journey delivers the pigs to the processing plant without carrying pathogens or biosecurity risks. And from here, the journey enters the most fascinating stage, where the planet's most widely consumed protein is reshaped inside modern processing lines. At the plant, premium Berkshire pigs enter a fully closed system, with each carcass carefully broken down into shoulder, ham, belly, and loin. High-quality cuts ready to be transformed into crispy bacon, aromatic ham, spicy pepperoni, or convenient canned meat. Here, advanced technology meets skilled craftsmanship, delivering top-tier flavors straight from the farm to the dining table. As one of the largest-scale pork products globally, ham has become a cash cow for the processing industry, generating up to $100 billion annually from the hind leg muscles, cuts with a balanced lean-to-fat ratio and excellent muscle structure. Before processing, the meat is trimmed of tendons and connective tissue and cut into small pieces in preparation for grinding. The meat is then moderately ground and thoroughly mixed with seasonings, creating a rich flavor while maintaining a smooth, lump-free texture. Once the mixture reaches the ideal consistency and thickness, it moves on to the shaping stage. In industrial lines using plastic casings, vacuum stuffing machines remove air bubbles before filling the meat, producing ham that is firm, smooth, and free of voids. With metal molds, the mixture is compressed tightly, forming a uniform block and eliminating air pockets, that ensuring a perfect texture for the final product. Immediately after stuffing and shaping, the ham blocks are transferred into cooking ovens to cook evenly, preserving both flavor and moisture. They are then cooled to stabilize the internal structure and removed from the molds, forming complete blocks, ready for the final finishing stage. Finally, the ham blocks go through automatic slicing machines, cut into thin slices just 1–2 millimeters thick. This thickness maximizes surface area, releases aroma more effectively, and ensures a tender bite when served cold. After slicing, the product is vacuum-packed or stored in protective gas environments, ready to appear on deli counters, especially in Europe, the market with the deepest and longest-standing ham consumption in the world. Meanwhile, on a different production line, bacon's treasure lies in the pork belly, a cut that accounts for only about 15% of the carcass weight, yet features the signature cross-section of alternating fat and lean layers that run continuously through the meat. The selected belly meat is then cured, primarily using a wet curing method. A brine solution is prepared in a precise ratio, combining salt, sugar, and spice extracts to balance saltiness and sweetness while stabilizing the meat's color. Multi-needle stainless steel injection systems pump the solution directly into the muscle tissue with controlled depth and needle density, ensuring the seasoning penetrates evenly throughout the meat, not just on the surface. After curing, the meat is hung on racks and placed into smoking chambers, where temperatures are typically maintained between 50 to 70 degrees Celsius to cook the meat gradually without melting the fat. Smoke from woods such as hickory, oak, or apple imparts distinctive aromatic compounds while lightly drying the surface, helping the bacon achieve a stable color and long-lasting smoky flavor. Smoking times can range from a few hours to over 20 hours, depending on the recipe. After smoking, each piece of bacon is removed from the racks and passed through pressing machines to achieve a uniform thickness, making it easier to feed into the slicers. Following smoking, bacon is sliced by automated systems equipped with stainless steel blades, allowing thickness to be controlled down to the millimeter. On modern production lines, output can reach thousands of slices per hour, while maintaining consistency in size, fat-to-lean ratio, and smooth surface finish. From here, bacon becomes the flavor catalyst for any dish. Just 5 to 10 grams paired with a burger or eggs is enough to boost umami and richness, as the melting fat carries saltiness and smoky aroma across the palate. Next, we move on to pepperoni, the fermented sausage made from carefully selected back, shoulder, and belly cuts, destined to become the soul of millions of pizzas. The blended meat is passed through industrial grinders to achieve a uniform particle size of 3 to 5 millimeters, coarse enough to retain visible fat grains, yet fine enough to ensure even cooking, stable shaping, and sharp slices. Immediately afterward, the ground meat is transferred to industrial mixers to incorporate fermenting microorganisms and spices. Plants typically use lactic acid bacteria strains at extremely low densities per gram of mixture, precisely controlling the fermentation process. Dry spices are added along with concentrated liquid paprika, stabilizing the characteristic red color and developing the familiar mild spiciness. The entire mixture is mixed for 2 to 5 minutes at low speed, just enough to distribute ingredients evenly without disrupting the meat's protein network. The mixed meat is then transferred to stuffing machines for shaping. The meat is pumped into sausage casings with precise weights for each segment, and the links are automatically twisted to form uniform chains of pepperoni. These chains are hung on conveyor lines, keeping the surface exposed to air and creating optimal conditions for biochemical reactions and subsequent heat treatment. From there, the pepperoni enters fermentation chambers, where controlled temperature and humidity activate the lactic acid bacteria, gradually lowering the pH to the ideal level and developing its distinct fermented flavor. Once this threshold is reached, the chamber settings are adjusted to inhibit further bacterial activity while lightly smoking the sausages with natural wood, finalizing both the flavor and the surface color. Next, the pepperoni is heated to fully cook, fixing the protein structure and establishing the desired firmness. Using high-speed rotary slicers, the finished product is cut into ultra-thin slices, often less than 2 millimeters, optimizing quick heat transfer, even fat melting, and the signature curling edges when baked on pizza. Completing the process, the dried pepperoni is fed into industrial pizza topping lines, where each deep red, fatty slice retains stability during baking, spreading a balanced, salty, fatty, spicy flavor across the pizza. This is especially notable in Domino's pepperoni pizzas, a product line that has shaken the global pizza market, selling millions of slices every day. At the final stop of today's journey, there's Spam, a product so ubiquitous over its 80-plus-year history that its name has become synonymous with canned meat. But do you know what truly gives each can its distinctive texture and flavor? The journey begins when shoulder cuts are sent through industrial grinders at a controlled coarse level. Rather than pulverizing the meat completely, the grinding preserves the muscle fiber structure, creating a block that is both cohesive and retains the sensation of whole meat, a key difference that sets Spam apart from sausages. Next, the ground meat is transferred to the mixing area, where Spam's core recipe is applied. The ingredients include pork shoulder, salt, sugar, water, potato starch, and sodium nitrite. Salt extracts muscle proteins to create binding, Sugar balances flavor, starch stabilizes the structure during heating, and nitrite controls microbial growth while preserving the signature pink color. The entire mixing process takes place in a chilled environment to minimize protein denaturation and ensure a uniform mixture before shaping. The mixed meat is then filled directly into metal cans with precise portioning, vacuum sealed, and hermetically closed to remove oxygen, reduce oxidation, and prepare for heat treatment. Immediately afterward, the cans are sent into a high-pressure steaming system and cooked for about 75 minutes, fully cooking the meat while eliminating harmful microorganisms, allowing the product to be safely preserved long-term without added preservatives. At the same time, the heat causes the proteins to coagulate, fixing a firm and uniform structure inside the can. Finally, the cans are rapidly cooled, cleaned, quality checked, and labeled with Spam's signature navy blue can and yellow lettering before being packed for global distribution. From the original pork shoulder, this process creates a canned product with a stable texture, consistent flavor, and a presence in over 40 countries worldwide. The global seafood market, valued at over $400 billion USD, continues to grow steadily. Behind that impressive figure lies a silent battle on the open sea, where fearless fishermen and massive industrial vessels brave rough waters, violent waves, and harsh weather every day and night to bring in millions of tons of fresh seafood each year. With the advent of modern fishing technology, a new era has begun, where human labor is replaced by machine power and productivity has multiplied many times over. This video will take you on a journey into the world of modern fishing, revealing how fishermen across continents are shaping the future of the seafood industry in the global tech age. The first stop, the Mediterranean Sea, where every June hundreds of massive vessels set out to hunt the ocean's silver warriors, known for their power, speed, and immense economic value, bluefin tuna. With muscular bodies and arrow-like speed cutting through the waves, bluefin tuna are the ocean's fiercest adversaries. To subdue them, fishermen use purse-seine vessels, a method that accounts for more than half of the region's total catch. With nets stretching 1.5 kilometers long and 200 meters high, closing like a massive wall of water around the schools of fish. When the radar detects a target, the support vessels tighten the net's bottom, kicking off a tense battle of strength between humans and the sea. A single haul can yield 30 to 50 tons of live fish. Even giants, weighing 300 kilograms, thrash violently, forcing fishermen to coordinate precise handling to preserve the otoro belly, the most prized part for expensive sashimi. As hydraulic cranes lift the catch onto the deck, sunlight glints off the silver skin, a moment of human triumph over the ocean. Alongside this, longline fishing remains a favored traditional technique due to its selectivity and long reach. Kilometers of lines baited with live fish are dropped to depths of 50 to 200 meters, where bluefin tuna hunt ferociously. After hours, fishermen haul in the lines, an intense test of strength that continues until a fish weighing hundreds of kilograms is subdued with gaffs and pulleys. Each catch of bluefin tuna is not only a prize, but also a testament to human strength, skill, and determination against the mighty ocean. Jellyfish, soft-bodied creatures famed for their ethereal beauty, are also considered a delicacy in certain regions. Among the more than 2,000 jellyfish species worldwide, only about 10% are edible, with cannonball jellyfish and Asian white jellyfish being the most commonly consumed. Every November, in the waters off Georgia, USA, the cannonball jellyfish harvest reaches its peak. Large, high-powered vessels set out to sea, deploying enormous bottom-dragging nets stretching hundreds of meters to collect tons of jellyfish per haul. The physically demanding task of hauling nets has now been replaced by high-capacity hydraulic winches, which lift the catch directly onto conveyor belts leading straight to the onboard processing area. After harvesting, jellyfish are usually washed, separated, and salted immediately to preserve quality before export. Meanwhile, in parts of Asia, the giant white jellyfish, with a diameter of nearly half a meter and weighing up to 20 kilograms each, are most sought after during the spring and summer seasons. Here, trawl nets are preferred for their flexibility and efficiency in shallow coastal waters. Once a net is filled with jellyfish, fishermen use long-handled scoops to lift each individual gently onto bamboo rafts. Unlike the Western industrial process, Asian fishermen maintain traditional methods. Jellyfish are processed immediately on shore, covered with sand and rubbed thoroughly to remove the thick slime layer, then sliced into thin strips or pieces before being sent to further processing facilities. Each harvest season brings in thousands of tons of fresh jellyfish, providing a significant source of income for coastal communities. In China, where turtles are regarded as symbols of longevity, they are also a valuable source of food and medicinal ingredients, raised on commercial farms with closed-cycle systems and a lifespan of just 12 to 18 months. To harvest them, farmers wade into muddy ponds, where turtles often bury themselves deeply to rest. Every action is performed slowly and carefully to avoid shocking the turtles or muddying the water. When a turtle is spotted, it is gently lifted by hand or with a long-handled net, taking care not to scratch the shell or break any limbs. Larger individuals usually lie deeper, requiring endurance and patience, as farmers dig through layers of fine mud by hand, with skillful yet decisive movements. After each capture, turtles are washed and placed in water-filled mesh cages to reduce stress before transport. Every year, tens of thousands of farms in China produce over 300 million commercial turtles, serving domestic consumption and medicinal use, as well as exports to Japan, South Korea, and Southeast Asia, creating a multi-billion-dollar aquaculture industry. On floating farms along the western Atlantic coast, farmers enter oyster harvest season. These small bivalves generate hundreds of millions of dollars in economic value each year. Unlike fish or shrimp, harvesting oysters requires patience, biological knowledge, and precise timing. Each farm must wait 18 to 36 months before harvest, depending on the species and the salinity of the waters. The harvesting method varies by farming model. In floating systems, rack and bag, oysters are raised in mesh bags suspended on racks, each containing 50 to 100 oysters, swaying in nutrient-rich currents. When ready, workers use hydraulic pulleys to lift the bags onto the boat, a swift and decisive operation that preserves freshness and keeps the shells intact. In bottom or wild harvest systems, fishermen use dredges dragged along the seabed to gather oysters. This method yields larger quantities but requires high skill, as even a small mistake can crack shells or mix in mud and sand, affecting quality. Oysters are extremely sensitive to temperature shocks and impacts, so from the moment they are lifted to the initial processing stage, every factor, time, temperature, and humidity, is strictly controlled. Upon reaching port, the oysters still hold droplets of seawater in their shells, carrying the ocean's breath and preserving their freshness and characteristic briny flavor, the very essence of the sea encapsulated in each rugged shell. Mahi-mahi, also known as dolphin fish, is a tropical species renowned for its shimmering blue-gold scales and incredible swimming speed of up to 90 kilometers per hour, ranking among the 10 fastest fish in the world and a prized catch for sport anglers in tropical waters. For professional fishermen, landing a large mahi-mahi is a once-in-a-lifetime triumph, with a success rate of only about 10 to 15%. In the United States, most are caught using the trolling technique, dragging bait at high speed along the water's surface, a method that demands agility, quick reflexes, and endurance. When a fish strikes, the impact can bend the rod and snap the line, forcing the angler to maintain balance and reel continuously in a fierce contest of strength and precision. Beyond sport fishing, mahi-mahi is also harvested commercially, with an annual yield of around 100,000 tons across Hawaii, the Caribbean, and the Pacific Ocean. Its firm, lean white meat, rich in protein, makes it a premium delicacy, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for the tropical seafood industry. Carp, a notorious invasive species despised in the United States, is conversely a highly valued and widely consumed food fish across many Asian countries, particularly in China and Vietnam. Here, carp are raised in earthen ponds, artificial lakes, or flooded rice fields, where natural water resources are utilized to the fullest. Unlike the massive trawlers used in offshore fisheries, carp farming relies on simple tools such as hand nets, lift nets, or stationary traps, traditional yet effective methods suited to lowland terrain and small-scale family operations. During harvest season, ponds are carefully drained in a controlled manner, and tons of carp are manually scooped up with sweep nets, then quickly transferred into aerated cold water tanks to keep them alive and fresh. The process is fast, precise, and requires seamless coordination among dozens of workers. Each year, China produces over 17 million tons of carp, most of which supplies the domestic market, while the rest is exported to neighboring Asian countries such as Vietnam, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. The sea cucumber harvest season takes place from late spring to early autumn, mainly in the waters of Japan, the Korean Peninsula, and China's coastal regions, when tides, temperature, and ocean currents align to create ideal conditions. Beneath the deep blue waters, the glow of dive lights and sonar beams sweep across the sandy seabed, searching for the soft, flexible bodies of sea cucumbers hidden within fine sediments. In the past, this trade relied entirely on divers. Today, however, industrial-scale operations demand greater speed and efficiency, and specialized bottom trawl nets have become the optimal solution. Large vessels equipped with GPS and high-precision sonar continuously scan the ocean floor to locate dense clusters of sea cucumbers. Once the golden zone appears on the screen, the trawl nets are deployed, their mesh size carefully adjusted to capture sea cucumbers while avoiding damage to coral and other marine life. The nets glide gently along the seabed, stirring up a thin layer of sand and sweeping the sea cucumbers into the holding chamber like a stream of moving sand. When the nets are hauled up, hundreds of kilograms of fresh sea cucumbers slide down seawater, rinsing troughs, cleaned, and immediately transferred into ice boxes or recirculating cold storage systems. Fast, precise, and efficient, this process allows fishermen to harvest tons of sea cucumbers within just a few hours, marking the dawn of industrialization for the so-called ginseng of the sea. This massive deep-sea trawl net is the ultimate tool for fishermen in the North Atlantic, aiding them in their quest to capture fish species that dwell hundreds of meters beneath the ocean's surface, most notably deep-sea redfish. With an opening span that can reach over 150 meters, the trawl acts like a steel arm sweeping across the seabed and gathering entire schools of fish hidden in the pitch-black depths. When full, the colossal net can hold more than 100 tons of fish, requiring a high-powered hydraulic winch system to haul it aboard amid the rough waves of the North Atlantic. As the net is opened on deck, streams of redfish cascade into the vessel's deep-chilled storage compartments, where processing begins immediately to preserve maximum freshness. Each year, over 100,000 tons of redfish are harvested from the North Atlantic, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, helping the region maintain its reputation as the world's largest hub for deep-sea fishing. The Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, USA, is the capital of the premium blue crab, famed for its sweet, firm, white meat and delicate flavor, fetching prices 3 to 5 times higher than ordinary crabs. The steel cage trap remains the only and most efficient method for harvesting this prized species. Each morning, when crabs are most active and the tides are favorable, fishermen bait the traps with small fish and deploy hundreds of cages along tidal channels, marking each location with floating buoys. Accurate marking is essential, as even a slight mistake could cause traps to drift away or disappear completely beneath the water. After a few hours, they return to haul in the catch, lifting each trap onto the deck. Each cage typically holds up to 15 mature blue crabs, depending on the season and population density. With hundreds of traps retrieved in succession, each trip yields hundreds of kilograms of live, fresh crabs. Highly efficient, easy to operate, and environmentally friendly, trap fishing has remained the primary method for Chesapeake Bay fishermen for decades. In November, the Bering Sea comes alive with fleets of sturdy fishing vessels cutting through icy waves in pursuit of migrating schools of fat, glistening cod. Long lines stretching 30 to 50 kilometers are dropped deep into the seabed, each carrying thousands of hooks baited with fresh fish. After several hours, or sometimes half a day, the lines are hauled back up through mist and frost, heavy with gleaming, freshly caught cod. Developed in the early 20th century, this fishing method remains common in Norway, Alaska, and Russia. It stands out for its selectivity, maintaining excellent fish quality while minimizing bycatch and environmental impact. However, its low efficiency and the sea's brutal conditions make longline fishing unsuitable for large-scale industrial operations. That's why bottom trawling has become the main weapon of modern fishing fleets. Massive trawl nets sweep across the cold seabed, capturing tens of tons of cod in each haul from the frozen depths. Once the nets are filled with their silvery bounty, gone are the days of back-breaking manual hauling. Today, hydraulic winches, heavy-duty pulleys, and automated net drum systems act as the fishermen's iron allies, lifting tons of fish from the sea with precision, saving time and labor, and greatly improving both productivity and safety at sea. Harvesting sea urchins by hand diving may sound simple, but in reality, it's a job that demands strength, skill, and absolute precision. Divers equipped with masks, snorkels, anti-spike gloves, and a curved iron hook, their only tool between them and the spiny creatures clinging to the seabed, 5 to 10 meters below, must work with utmost care. A single wrong move can crack the shell, ruin the roe, or cause the diver to be painfully pricked by the sharp spines. Each urchin is gently pried loose, placed into a mesh bag tied to the diver's waist, and brought up to the boat in small batches. A skilled diver can harvest anywhere from 100 to 300 sea urchins a day, depending on the region and population density. These divers are more than just fishermen. They're underwater ecologists, selecting only mature urchins while avoiding the young ones to preserve the natural balance of marine life. Another highly effective method is bottom net harvesting, a technique quite different from traditional fishing nets. Instead of maximizing speed or net spread, bottom nets for sea urchins are designed with smaller mesh, flexible frames, and excellent seabed contact, helping to maintain the urchin's shape during collection. The nets are either fixed in place or slowly towed behind a vessel. As they pass over the seabed, sea urchins are gently swept inside by the movement of water and the light pulling force of the boat. This method allows for large-scale harvesting in a short amount of time, making it suitable for industrial operations. However, it also comes with drawbacks: higher damage rates, as the urchins can be bruised, crushed, or mixed with seaweed and debris, directly affecting the quality of their precious roe inside.